Hey, I'm Bob Friedrich, your host. Welcome to the Co-op Condo Brief. It's your inside track on today's issue. In New York City, middle-class co-ops are the essence of affordable housing. They are the largest lifetime investment for many working families, seniors, and others on fixed incomes. I'm going to explain why a huge chunk of your monthly maintenance, often close to 50%, is caused by the city's arcane property tax assessment system. Few understand it, and that includes most elected officials. I know because I've spoken to many of them. But you're the one paying the bill, and that brings us to your inside track on today's issue, property taxes. The New York City Department of Finance has just released its latest property assessments for the entire city, and the results are troubling for co-op and condo owners. New York City property taxes are calculated using a mysterious formula that few understand. The process is notoriously complicated and filled with confusing formulas, assumptions, estimates that often don't make sense and would make your head spin. First, the city determines the assessed valuation of the co-op or condo, but this is not the fair market value. That would be too simple. It is an obscure calculation that has no basis in reality, but more on that later. Once the assessed valuation is calculated, the city multiplies that number by the property tax rate to determine your annual tax bill. The tax rate is established by the city council and changes little year after year. Why? Because the city's ever-increasing assessed valuations automatically generate more revenue, even when the rate stays the same. Politicians can claim they're not raising taxes, but as assessed values climb, so do your bills. It's a clever system. Taxes go up, but the rates stay the same. So how does the city come up with this assessed value? You might think it's based on your home's actual market price, but that's not the case. The truth is, it's convoluted, sausage-making, arcane process, but let's break it down. Step 1, the Department of Finance treats your entire co-op or condo development as if it were a fictional rental property that's for sale. Then it estimates what an imaginary buyer would pay for it. This fictional sales price is labeled the market value. Step 2, how do they determine this hypothetical market value? Well, the DOF must determine the profitability of this fictional rental building. To do this, the city creates imaginary financial statements. It invents rental income from tenants who don't exist, then subtracts building expenses, also invented, from a rental building that doesn't exist, and the difference is the fictitious profit. The city then compares these make-believe numbers to so-called comparable commercial rental properties, even though co-ops are not commercial rental properties, making this entire process dubious at best. Step 3. Using this imaginary profit, the city must figure out what a buyer would pay for this fictional rental building. Step 4. The city applies an arcane and complex financial calculation called the capitalization rate. For example, if the fictional profit of this imaginary building is $1 million, a fictional buyer might pay 10 times that amount, or $10 million. The Department of Finance refers to this multiple as the rate of return, or the capitalization rate, and this concocted result, $10 million, becomes the market value for your co-op. In step 5, the city multiplies this market value by 45% to get the assessed valuation, and then multiplies that by the property tax rate to determine your final tax bill. This is crazy. In short, the Department of Finance views your co-op as if it were a rental building, then tries to guess what an investor would pay for it using numbers that don't reflect reality. So when these valuations are published at the beginning of the year, no one should be shocked that the outcome is more fantasy than fact. Yet, as absurd as it sounds, this is how your co-op or condo's property tax bill is calculated. It's as accurate as picking numbers out of a hat. And of course, none of this makes any sense. Calculating co-op ownership valuations based on rental properties is ludicrous. As a result of this convoluted approach, Glen Oaks Village, a co-op of 10,000 residents, saw its assessed values jump by 21% last year. Even though the tax rate remained the same, the assessed values increased our taxes by 11.5%. For many co-ops, property taxes make up about half of their monthly maintenance. So now with the mayor's proposed 9.5% rate increase, this situation will go from bad to worse. These kinds of tax hikes simply aren't sustainable. If city leaders truly cared about affordability and co-op justice, they'd lower the tax rate to compensate for the soaring assessed valuations. Unfortunately, homeowners are viewed as an unlimited personal ATM by these city leaders. Thus, there is no incentive to think about controlling spending. Well, that's it. You now have the inside track on the New York City property tax system. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll see you next week. Thank you.